He's Tony. I'm Mike. We're here to watch the world burn because the fucking summer. It's hot out. And since it's summer, why not do 1987's Summer School? Released in July 22nd of 1987, directed by Carl Reiner, who is a absolute legend, who sadly passed last year. But that guy has been around forever. Comedic actor, writer, producer, novelist. So now direct this. He also directed The Jerk, Oh God, Summer Rental. He's been in countless movies, TV shows. Just
over 100 credits.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, over 100 acting credits. It's pretty insane. His career is amazing.
By Jeff Franklin. He was mostly known for TV. He did the TV version of Bad News Bears. That was him. But did Laverne and Shirley, Bosom Buddies, Give Me a Break, Full House, Fuller House. I mean, he's just prolific in TV. Prolific. I mean, and that's just like the highlights. I mean, he's been going for like forever. There's like no lull in this man's career for TV writing.
The cocaine is good, is what you're telling me. It's all just hammered out in a feverish pace while sniffing loudly. His Steadfast's having a reunion show. I got it.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug. But he also wrote the script for just one of the guys. Is like this other really big, not big, but probably most notable film.
I was going to say, it's kind of a culty movie. Like, if you had cable in the 80s, you've seen it a million times, but no one saw it in the theater. So
I never actually seen the movie. I know the movie. I know what it's about. I've never actually watched it.
It's the only thing you need to see is those spectacular boobies that are in one shot for 1.5 seconds, and everything else about that movie is completely forgettable. So it's like one of those, like, everybody decided that they needed to have a girl trying to be a guy movies, and so yeah, it is what it is. But I can appreciate the fandom for it, but at the same time, it's there. I've seen it. I'm good. I'll never own it on Blu-ray. I'll never pay to rent it. If somebody else is watching it, I will give them shit if I walk into the room. Why the hell are you watching this? But yeah, that's what I got for you.
Okay, so I don't need to watch it, and we will never review it.
Actually, that's what we're doing next. No.
Surprise! Another legend coming up here. Music by Danny Elfman.
Wow.
Yes.
How early was this in his career?
Well, not super early, because he did Pee-wee's Big Adventure before this. Plus, he's already in the band Oingo Boingo, who's just a staple for, movie soundtracks in themselves. Like Weird Science or like anything else that came out in the mid 80s.
Yeah.
They're all over the place. So Danny Elfman, if you don't know, how do you not know? He has 196 freaking soundtrack credits. Soundtrack credits. Let alone composing and everything else. He's in every like Tim Burton movie since the dawn of time. Countless TV shows, The Simpsons. I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the man's a legend. Cast. Your favorite, and the whole reason why we're doing this, Mark Harmon as Freddie Shoop, the lovable PE teacher with a heart of gold.
Who doesn't really like his job all that much, but he does like the ladies. But only the age-appropriate ladies.
Yes, this is very true, very true. Mark Harmon was the OG Prince of Bel-Air. Yes.
Really?
Yes. Movie in 1986. Also, it's Kirstie Alley. Yeah, made the TV movie, Prince of Bel-Air. It's there. Sorry, Will Smith, you weren't the first. He's also in The Pursudio. Mark Harmon's been in countless TV shows through his career. Most notably Chicago Hope and NCIS for like an eternity.
And then some, yeah.
And then some.
Mark Harmon is like that really he's handsome, but he's not too handsome, but he's amazingly likable and really charming. So in roles like, this, he's solid.
Yes.
He's always got his A game on. And it's I don't know if it's acting ability or just the fact that he's just such a damn likable guy that he just gets by, like, throwing lines out and you're like, I buy that, Mark Harmon.
Yeah, I think 75% of his career is charisma.
That's okay though. We
Yeah.
need those
Yeah.
time to time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Moving on, we have Kirstie Alley as Robin, who is the hot new history teacher right down not the hall, but right next door.
Right next door. Yep.
Because it's a California school, they don't have hallways, it's outdoors. So, Kirstie Alley from Star Trek II, Runaway, also Prince of Bel-Air, as we just mentioned, Loverboy, Madhouse, Lucas Talking, 1 and 2, Village of the Dam on TV, from Cheers, Wings, and a bunch of other shit. She's been around forever and ever.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was going to say, if you don't know who Kirstie Alley is, have you ever seen the movie? So just throwing that one out there for you. But
I mean, mostly she's known now for body image stuff, but
pretty much, yeah. Well, I mean, shit, she's in her 70s now, isn't she?
no, she's not that old.
Star Trek
Not that old.
Con came out in 81.
Yeah, she's like in her
20s then.
She's like in early 20s, like early 20s.
I don't think it was necessarily early. I think she was like 23, 24. But
she's not such.
She's got to be in her late 60s at this point. So
probably. Well, you can look it up and see.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But
and then getting to the class itself, we have Courtney Thorne-Smith as Pam, who is the surfer girl. We have Ken Oland as Larry, who is the teenage stripper. Patrick Labro, something like that.
Labro, baby.
Labro. As Kevin, who's the football player, got kicked off the team for having bad grades. A favorite of ours, Shawnee Smith.
Yes.
As, Rhonda, the pregnant student.
Woefully miscast as the pregnant student and
underutilized, I would say, as a pregnant student.
I honestly think that if she had been the surfer girl, I would have bought that completely. Her and Courtney needed to switch roles in this movie, but I'm sure Courtney, with her goody two-shoe image, I don't want to play a pregnant teenage girl, and Shawnee was all like, I can play anything, watch. So yeah, really underutilized. Absolutely. We'll get into that. Anyway, there's still several people in the cast.
Yes, there is. Richard Stephen Horowitz as Alan, who's the geek of the class. Kelly Jo Minter as Denise, the dyslexic who can't drive. Dwayne Davis as Jerome, the computer made a mistake. I suggest it gets it right next time. Oh, by the way, give me the bathroom pass, and I'll see you at the end of summer school. That guy. Dean Cameron as Francis, or he likes to be called Chainsaw. His dorky buddy, Gary Riley, as Dave, the two horror film dorks. And then Fabiana Udinio?
I can't see how it's spelled, but I would assume Ordinio.
Okay, so the really hot foreign girl, Anna Maria.
She is most definitely that. See, now this is perfect casting.
Yes.
She's Italian. She's hot. She's the hot Italian girl. Brilliant. Yes. So, see how easy that is. So,
is she not the spokesperson for the Sunblocker 3000 in RoboCop? I think that's her.
They say 20 seconds in the California sunshine is too much these days, ever since we lost the ozone layer.
The Sunblocker
Oh,
3000.
that is her. Yes,
Yeah.
RoboCop 2, the Sunblock Woman. Yes.
Yeah, I was
That's
going to say, Sunblocker 3000 was not in the original RoboCop. It was in the second one. So,
All right, so I was correct. Yes.
yeah. So, well, there you go. There you go. So,
Yay. I love that scene. I was like, oh, the sun rays will give you cancer, all this stuff. You can't be out for 5 minutes, but with this blue shit on, I'm good for hours. And yes, she still looks hot with all that blue goop on her.
She could have been Smurfette. I'd go with.
Would have been fine with it all day long. Here's another little fun fact you can throw in here. In 2012, they were tossed around the idea of remaking this as an Adam Sandler flick.
Yeah.
Tony, you want to turn to this plot?
Oh, well, there's not a lot to dig into here. I mean, it's a pretty razor thin story.
Sure.
It's more of a, I mean, honestly, stories being generous. It's more of a setup. Is really what it all boils down to.
Well, then give us the quick and dirty.
PE teacher, and he's supposed to be going to Hawaii with his super hot girlfriend for a summer vacation, and he just happens to be the poor, schmuck that gets caught in the parking lot and basically is told that you're either teaching summer school or you're not going to get your tenure, and he's given the one note dreads of humanity, to get past this English exam that all of them have failed, and hilarious hijinks ensue. Legitimately, that's all that's going on in this. In the meantime, Kirstie Alley, the history teacher, who's teaching history summer school as well,
for students that want extra credit, because she has the honor students.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, they're there by choice.
So, but she's teaching right next door, and she's very serious about her teaching. And then you have, Principal Douchebag, who Kirstie Alley is dating at the beginning, but naturally he's not the right man for her. Mark Harmon is, because Shoop is just such a charmer.
Well, she finds out in the end that the vice principal is a douchebag. She catches him doing douchebaggery at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
So here, well, I'll turn to the plot here real quick.
All right. Well, I was gonna say, there's one thing that at the very beginning, when Mark Harmon first meets her, he asks her to go out for Chinese, and she says she hates Chinese, and he says, well, we can go out and not have Chinese together. And then he makes the comment of like, well, what's wrong with a guy like me? And she's like, I don't date guys like you anymore. So this is apparently Kirstie Alley's character, where she's trying to be more responsible with her dating, because she's dated someone that was kind of reminded her of Mark Harmon. That kind of carefree, attitude and not take anything seriously. And she's decided that she's done with that. That portion of her relationship life is over with. That's why she's ambivalent to date him at first. So I just want to address that one in the room.
Okay.
But
all right, well, I would have got to that. But anyways, the whole reason why he even gets roped up this whole thing anyways, because one of the other teachers, who is actually played by Carl Reiner, the director, wins big on a scratcher ticket.
This puppy, 50,000 big ones. You know what this means? No summer school.
Wait a minute. You gave me your word.
That was the old word. My new one is money.
A man of your integrity would let a mere 50 grand weaken his commitment to education? I have seen lesser men win millions in the lottery, go right back to bussing tables.
They're friggin' morons!
I was like, fuck you guys. I'm out of here. Somebody else can teach summer school. I love this line that the vice principal's like, there's plenty of other good people who win the lottery and still do their day jobs. Like, those guys are fucking idiots. So anyway, so Shoop gets roped into this. And so he meets the class, and half the class just bail out on him right away. They just do not want to be there. They just up and leave. And nobody else really wants to be there, but they're kind of stuck there. So I was like, well, fuck it. Let's do some field trips. So they go to petting zoo. They go to beach. Where else?
They went to an amusement park because they were like doing the reviews of roller coasters and stuff that were there.
Yeah. But anyway, so one of the students has allergic reaction to one of the pets there at the petting zoo, and so his grandma finds out, And so the vice principal comes down on Shoop. It's like, hey, you're not supposed to be doing this shit. You know, what if something will happen to these kids? You're fired. And Shoop's like, well, wait a second. What if I actually get these guys to actually pass this test at the end? And he's like, well, if you can get them to pass, you can keep your job. So
and get your tenure.
Yeah, and get your tenure. That's very important.
But here's a question for you. I don't think high school teachers get tenure. That's generally a college professor thing. So
I'm not a teacher. I don't know.
no,
If you're a teacher and you're watching this, leave a comment if we're right or wrong or whatever.
tell us how wrong we are.
Right, how wrong this movie is. So anyways, where was I? Oh yeah, so first Shoop's like, hey, we got to do this, else I'm gonna lose my job. They're like, well, what are you gonna do for us? What have you done for me lately, Mark Harmon? As Janet Jackson would say.
What if you granted each one of us one wish?
I know he used to do things for you. What has he done for you lately?
My name is Janet. Miss Jackson, if you nasty.
Break up the Paul Abdul choreography. But anyway, so they negotiate a deal. Denise needs driving lessons. Ronna needs help at a Le Mans class. Kevin needs help with his football game in case he makes it back in. Dave and Chainsaw want to throw a party in honor of Anna Maria, and then also want to show a screening of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, also in honor of Anna Marie, because why not? And then Pam's like, I'll tell you when the time is right.
Actually, you forgot they're also supposed to be chauffeured to their jobs at the photo lab. So.
Oh yeah, because that was gonna be Anna Maria was gonna have her wish, but she didn't really have a wish, so they they stole her wish.
The Steal a Wish Foundation.
Yeah. So anyways, then the hijinks ensue. And let's see here. Shoop goes to jail because Dave and Chainsaw were caught drinking on the boardwalk. So he has to call Robin to bail him out. Just to kind of skip to the end here. Because most of the hijinks are just in him, doing these favors for these kids is where the bulk of the story is.
It's all situational. So
yeah, absolutely, every bit of it. So at the end, they all take the test. Most of them fail spectacularly.
I think 3 of them actually passed.
Yeah.
And that's the guy that went to the bathroom at the beginning. He got the highest score. He got a 91. And then the surfer chick that moved in with Mark Harmon, she got an 83, I want to say. And then
Dave passed.
Not Chainsaw, his
Dave.
buddy got a 70.
Yeah.
And somebody else got a 73. I don't remember who. So, it was the nerdy kid.
Alan.
Yeah.
Alan passed. But everybody else, failed. So half the class failed. But they made such an improvement in the kids' lives that the parents of the students came in support of Mr. Shoop and got him to keep his job.
Yeah.
And so
get tenured.
And get tenured. Shoop asks Robin again out for a date, but he gets refused at the end again. But she does say, you can make me breakfast.
Yeah.
So.
And then he says, how do you like your eggs, fried or scrambled? And she says, fertilized. And
so that is Summer School. Tony, what did you think of this movie, Summer School?
It was a slog. Mark Harmon is a charming man, and he is a lot of fun in most movies that he does. Mm-hmm. It starts off strong, and I guess here's my problem with it. Chainsaw and his buddy, Alex?
Dave,
they dominate like the whole middle and end of the movie, and they're not funny. They're not charming. They're like the most annoying shitheads on the planet. All the other kids in this class, I can give a pass to, except for those two, and they're supposed to be like the comedy backbone of this, and it's just it's tired. It's they're annoying.
Yes.
You know, they're not funny, they're not cool, they're not hip, they're not cheeky, they're not punchy. They're drunk assholes who show up to school liquored up and just, you know, have shit fall out of their mouth that I guess I'm supposed to go, oh, that's hilarious. And it's not. So like those two, I blame you. And the one that played Chainsaw, it's not that he can't be funny. He's been in other movies that he actually does, you know, have some chops in. Specifically, he's the pizza delivery guy in Men at Work with Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez and Keith David, and that whole bit is funny. It's genuinely funny, but this is really undercooked, and
I would say it's undercooked. It's them at 11. They're dialed up too much. If they were dialed back quite a bit, it would have been much better, because like they're just like absolutely obsessed with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, that's all they talk about. That's all they do. And it's funny. It's like they don't focus at all. Like they focus on the makeup effects, but they never really talk about how they enjoy them or how they even want to do it or what's their plans. You know, like you never seem like, oh, we want to become filmmakers. We want to do stuff like this. Yeah. All they say is that we love the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and that is it. So you don't get a real backstory behind them or any real motivation for them. So if you would like at least delved a little deeper below the surface level of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, maybe they would have been a little redeemable. Maybe you could have gave a fuck about these characters, but you don't.
Pretty much, yeah.
At least not those two.
Yeah, well, I mean, here's the other thing too. This was 1987. Like horror films were huge at this time, and I'm not just talking like, you know, Friday the 13th and Halloween. I mean, Freddy Krueger was around, and like every major horror icon that you can think of, they were all established at this point. But the only movie you ever hear them talk about is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and they talk about Rick Baker. Yeah. But other than that, it's like, wait. You ever heard of this guy named Tom Savini? You know, the guy who did Romero Zombie? Yeah, you might want to talk about him if you know shit about shit. And I guess the unforgivable part of this for me is that this is a movie that was made by industry people. You think that they would know who the real names are as far as the industry goes. The only other thing I heard them talk about was American Werewolf in London, and that was specifically when they were discussing Rick Baker there. But there's so many great makeup artists. The fact that you and I can talk about more makeup artists than they talk about in this film, and we're not obsessed with it, is everything you need to know about how shallow these characters are. So that's one thing. The other thing is Shawnee is completely underutilized. You have this interesting story about a girl who's a teenager who's pregnant, who's having to repeat courses, and how this is affecting her, and they do nothing with it.
Yeah.
You have the girl that's trying to get her driver's. I can't remember any of their names. That's how memorable they are. But she turns out to be dyslexic.
Yeah.
And
that's the funny thing. That's like a big trope in the 80s.
Oh,
if there's a troubled kid that couldn't read, dyslexia. I mean, everybody had fucking dyslexia in the 80s.
I think it was part of their public service announcement. Like, no one really knew what dyslexia was 5 years prior, so they like had every movie have a dyslexia storyline so that they could get it out there. That
every 80s TV sitcom had a character that had dyslexia.
Yeah.
Alfonso Ribeiro, Silver Spoons, first person I could think of that was diagnosed with dyslexia on TV.
Wow. But you're absolutely right. There's that. The nerdy kid, apparently he's selectively a genius. Like, you know, when he's negotiating contracts and deals and anybody else needs help with anything, he's the smartest one, but somehow he can't, like, you know, pass a high school English test. But everybody else in his family are straight A students.
Yeah.
And to top it all off, he's greasy and annoying. In the stereotypical way. I loathe his character.
Here's what they could have done with this character. They could have used the big guy's backstory as his backstory. That the computer made the mistake. He shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
That makes perfect sense. You don't need this convoluted. Well, I'm the intellectual runt of the family.
Essentially, and then we have Courtney, the surfer chick. What the hell was her story? Exactly. Oh, she's distracted. She daydreams all the time. Da, 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 da. Oh, she's a surfer girl. Oh, she has a big family and she's having to stay on the couch because she lives with her brother and they've got a bunch of kids. It's like, and then she moves in with Mark Harmon and all of a sudden she wants to be his wife. She's making dinner and giving him shit about inviting people over so she can prepare enough food. I'm like thinking, you're 17, number one, and number two, like really you want to go from, surfing to being in a, Ozzie and Harriet style marriage with Mark Harmon inside of a week? No.
Well, it's also, a 17-year-old girl's school crush. I can buy that. I can buy that too, because, Mark Harmon's probably the first adult to actually give a fuck about her, and then also, he's kind of a free spirit kind of a dude as well as she is,
Sure.
They can relate. So I can buy all that. That's fine. There's nothing convoluted there for me at all whatsoever.
I can get that, but the fact that she needs a place to live, like her family's comfortable with her moving in with this dude that's in his 30s.
The whole family stand outside is bullshit. Yeah.
So,
but
that's what I mean by like. It's almost like they were trying to come up with something, didn't have it written into the script, and then got to this point where we got to have Courtney have her wish. Well, how do we get these two kids to move in together? And then Kirstie Alley being all like, what is this shit? That I buy. Yeah. But, everything up to that, it just, it felt forced, and it didn't feel like there was anything at stake. And again, why would Courtney's family be okay with her moving in with this dude that they've never met,
But, here's the thing about all this. It's a typical 80s comedy where the situations are uber fantastical. Like,
to say the least.
Nowhere in real life will any of these things, any of these 80s movies actually happen. They're overly exaggerated so you can get the comedic effect of it, So to me, that's the charm of these movies, of all these 80s movies, 80s comedies, is yes, these situations are absolutely ridiculous. They're cartoonish and, 100% not believable. But that's the whole point. It's just a pure escapist humor. And they're good-hearted, at the end of it. In most of the cases, especially in this movie, everybody gets helped in one way, shape, form, or another. Yeah. Everybody kind of improves. Even the annoying film guys, Yeah. What's his name? Actually started studying. The one guy actually passed the test, So I like the feel-good, happy endings that you always got from the 80s comedies. Yes. Are they absurdist? Absolutely. But that's the charm for me. And I love the payoffs at the end. And
here's the other thing too. Like they have the party at his house, and they're throwing cantaloupes with fireworks in them up into the air and letting them blow up. And then one of the idiots lights a Roman candle, and the dog throws it out the window, and the dog fetches it and brings it back and puts it on the couch, and the couch catches on fire. And then they put the fire out by dumping his aquarium on it with his fish in it. It's like, that's the kind of thing that you should justifiably get your ass kicked for, not be told, go home, I'll see you in class tomorrow. No, I'm sorry. Like, what idiot thought that was a good idea? Why did they have to kill the goldfish? Why did they have to kill Mark Harmon's goldfish? If I didn't like Mark Harmon so much, I wouldn't care. But I like Mark Harmon, so it makes Chainsaw and whatever his name is that much more annoying.
Yeah. But no, they're absolutely the weakest link of this film. Absolutely. By far.
Very weak.
And everybody else is absolutely forgivable and, believable for the most part. Yeah, likable.
And that's the whole problem that I have, is that you have all these other characters, like the guy that's 17 and he's working as a stripper and he gets busted because his mom and aunt go to the strip club he works at. But
They should have had that scene in there, and I know why they didn't have that scene in there because this is a PG-13 film.
Sure. That's
So
the question I wanted to ask you, because this movie feels like they probably filmed a lot more stuff for all the kids, but then they had to cut it all out, and they basically sacrificed all the other kids in their stories so that we could make Chainsaw and his buddy, the two horror film fanatics, they're the big star draw. And that's kind of what kills this movie for me, is that these are the two least interesting characters.
And I think why they did that so they could get this PG-13 rating.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's probably more adult situations because all the other characters are set up for more adult style situations. At least some of the other characters are. You know, because I'm sure they probably had something planned for Mark Harmon and Courtney Thorne-Smith that probably didn't happen, which is probably a good thing. I'm sure they probably had some stuff for the male stripper guy that probably got tossed out. I'm sure there's plenty of rated R stuff that hit the editing room floor.
Yeah.
Just to make this rating.
That's, I guess, why I can see through this film's veneer what we got. I mean, you're right. It is good-hearted. Its heart's in the right place. That these kids, you know what? Yeah, their grades suck, but a lot of them just, you need to find out what the issue is and then deal with that issue. And then, hey, you know what? They're not bad kids. I can appreciate the sincerity of that sentiment in this film. I really can. But as from a storytelling angle, there are infinitely better movies that deal with a lot of this stuff and with much more compelling characters, and you don't have to sit through Chainsaw and whatever his name's, like, you know, constant babbling on about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And let's be clear on this. I love the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I think that first movie is a horror masterpiece. I think it's a wonderful film. It creeps me out to this day. So my it's not the subject matter. It's the fact that's apparently considered enough that's their personality. Yeah. That's all they have is a love of horror films. They have no goals. Yeah. Or they don't plan on doing anything with it. They're not like making films like on the weekends, and that's their whole. See, if you wanted to make them interesting characters, they should have been obsessed with horror films. Keep that. They want to be makeup artists. They're big fans of Rick Baker and Tom Savini, and that's their goal. They want to do that for a career.
Yep.
And they're obsessed with it. And then on the side, they're making these like really cheesy, stupid knockoff horror films in their backyard. And so they're trying to get the Italian exchange student to be the star of their new film, and they want Mark Harmon to be the killer. That would have been a fun idea. That would have had some payoff to it, and it could have been potentially hilarious. Instead, we got that really stupid scene where Mark Harmon quits and they bring in the new substitute teacher, and all the kids are there in their gory makeup, and that lady screaming, the new substitute teacher screaming, gets so annoying after her third inhale and screams some more. And it's just so hammy and dumb. It's like not funny. It's just there. So,
Yeah.
It did nothing to make Chainsaw's case. The funniest thing that they ever said was when they're giving their commentary while watching the Chainsaw Massacre, and the chainsaw lands on his leg and he goes, "It doesn't hurt because he's crazy." That's the only line that he said that had me laugh. Other than that, every time they open their mouth, I could feel my eyes rolling into the back of my head. So,
all right. Well, I mean, so what 80s comedy would you recommend in this place?
Oh, watch Heathers. It's high school. It's funny, and it's a bit seedier as far as
definitely seedier.
No
nudity in that one either, though.
Do what?
No nudity in that movie.
Well, they're high schoolers.
Or even in this movie. So.
Well, you should have known there wasn't going to be any nudity. It was, PG-13.
I know there was. It was PG-13.
87 was kind of set in stone. It's not like the good old days when you could watch Swamp Thing and see Adrienne Barbeau's boobies, but or Beastmaster and see Tanya Roberts' boobies. That was back when PG meant something. Watch Fast Times at Ridgemount High. There's a bunch of better films about this kind of topic. I just this one just, it didn't land. this feels like it should have been a rated R movie, and it got hacked to pieces to get it to a PG-13, and they left the soul of it and the funny parts of it on the editing room floor. I'm not a fan of it, and it's not that I have any issues with the cast, it's that I have issues with this movie. So
yeah, I have a soft spot for this film. This came out, in '87, right in the middle school years for me. So it landed perfect for me. It doesn't hold up, like it did. Obviously, it's not, for the reasons you stated. Dave and Chainsaw are just absolutely over the top. If you dial them characters back, it's a much more enjoyable film. I don't know if anybody, that's a teenager now would probably dig it. Maybe if they're like, 13 to 16, maybe, it's kind of a stretch. So, I mean, I still enjoy it. I still get a kick out of it. If you're nostalgic for that type of stuff, I recommend it. If you like 80s comedy, I recommend it. If you didn't grow up in the 80s, it's probably not going to be for you. What I would recommend also in this vein, you mentioned Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and that's a classic movie. It's not quite the same vein though. It's infinitely more serious and more realistic
and funny.
Yeah. But something around this same vein where it's kind of with absurd humor and situations. Better Off Dead with John Cusack. Yeah, it's a fantastic movie. Revenge of the Nerds. I love Revenge of the Nerds. It's absolutely absurd. Yeah. A little more, slightly more realistic, but not really. There's some absurd bullshit that goes on in that movie, but it's fun. It's got a lot of heart, and there's Bush. Insert the quote here.
Wow. We've got Bush.
Oh, hello, pie.
But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good stuff in the 80s. If you can, like I said, if you can get past the absurd situations and enjoy the heart behind these films, I think you'll dig them. So
they're better movies. I was gonna say, like, if you want absurd situations, My Chauffeur, and hell, Valley Girl. I mean, like, Deborah Foreman was the queen of absurd 80s comedies back in the day, and her movies are funny, and they do have some heart to them. And
Valley Girl's not a comedy though, by any stretch of the imagination. Valley Girl is definitely more of a kind of a drama. It's more realistic, and it's more of a social class story than it is a comedy.
Sure.
There's some comedic parts in it, but overall, I think that's more of a drama. I would recommend it,
but
not quite in the same class as this though.
Anyways, like I said, I mean, there's far better films from the time that hold up much better than this one does, and that's really you're right about that one. It's not that I haven't seen it, and it's not that I haven't enjoyed it in the past. It's that watching it now through adult eyes, I look back and think, not that good a movie, not that fun, not that funny. It's I can see where if you were attached to this film, it had some charm, but beyond that, if you haven't seen it before now, I can't say go back and watch it. There are far better examples and better films back in the day. Hell, Carl Reiner has better movies that he's directed and written and starred in that are better than this one. So I think this was probably his weakest film. I think I feel pretty good saying that this is bottom of his barrel.
It's definitely in the lower percentile, probably. But I don't know. So, Tony, what are we watching next?
Next, we're watching a Mark Harmon movie that's a comedy that's actually funny, and we're going to be watching Worth Winning. So,
what? I'm not even familiar with this movie at all. I have no clue what it's even about.
That's why I love it. So, and this is like one of those movies that I turned it on for Karen, and she's like, "What the hell is this?" I'm like, "This is Worth Winning," and she's like, "Really?" And then she was kind of amazed that I could quote huge chunks of the dialogue from this movie. And she's like, you really have seen this before. And I'm like, I haven't just seen it. I've seen it multiple times before. So
what's the basic plot?
The basis of the plot is Mark Harmon, Lady Killer Weatherman, and his buddies have a bet where they're going to give him 3 ladies that he's supposed to videotape his proposals to them. He's never met any of them. And I'm going to leave it there because it's funnier if you go into the situation blind. But it's all the basis of a bet. And it's damn funny stuff. And this is the movie that was tailor-made for Mark Harmon. He is so charming as Taylor Worth, and his character is this is full on late 80s, like Brooks Brothers and BMWs and look how well I am in suspenders with ties as casual wear. This is real 80s dope right here. So, and I'm pushing it right into your veins.
So a couple fun facts. Where this was filmed is the same school where they filmed The Karate Kid.
Oh.
And then talking about the soundtrack earlier, how Oingo Boingo, Danny Elfman did this, Oingo Boingo did this song on here. E.G. Daily, who was also in Valley Girls, like we talked about, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, who was a mild, also, I guess, singer at the time. She did a lot of soundtrack stuff. Debbie Harry was supposed to do the song Mind Over Matter that's featured in this film, but she couldn't do it because of a conflict with her record label, so E.G. Daily did this.
Okay.
Yeah, that song. And another song in here. E.G. Daily does a lot of soundtracks in the 80s. She also did a couple songs for Better Off Dead, and actually appeared in Better Off Dead as a singer in that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, E.G. Daily's hot. I love her unusual voice. She's petite. She's got nice boobies.
Yeah.
You get to see her boobies in Valley Girl. Yeah, I'm a fan. Yeah. Unapologetic fan of E.G. Daily.
I get it. So I completely get it. That's all I'm going to say. So anything else to say about Summer School?
I got nothing, man. We got it.
All right. Well, then we will catch you next time on Tony and Mike Watch the World Burn.
Yeah. See, this is bullshit. The movie you're going to edit, we get done in 44 minutes. You don't have to fucking edit anything.